Hi, everybody. Thanks, Marshall. Today is July 26th. Today is our Wednesday CALPADS Q A. My name is Alex Manriquez, and I'm a data analyst at CISA supporting CALPADS. Driving for us today is Gary Gerber. Gary. Moving on to announcements. You all should know end of year end of year initial deadline is July 28th, which is this Friday. It's just what, 3 days away. There's no talks about extensions, folks. This is it, this Friday. The amendment window starts from July 29th, goes up until August 25th. August 25th is our official, our deadline for end of year, and that is also when cohort data will be pulled. So please be mindful of your cohort reports, 15.1, 15.2, if you have high schools. There are a couple flashes we want to mention. Flash 257 went out on Monday, and that talks about the new TK grade level, gives all sorts of updates on that TK grade level. And Flash 258 just went out today around 2 p.m., 2:15 for me. And that has all kinds of good stuff. And the end of year deadline reminder that we've talked about talks about revision processing. There's a new homeless report on DataQuest, so please make sure you're reviewing your homeless report on end of year 3. It gives you good key high overview of how to, if you're going to be testing students over the summer for the initial LPAC, some reminders on how to get that data into CalPAD so you can do that. And also reminders on how to send us RFIPs that if you did RFIPs over the summer, just as a reminder of how to do that. That was covered already in Flash 219, but saying that again. I think that was it for me. I'm passing the torch over to Angela or anybody from CDE.
Yeah, who's driving today? Is that Paul?
Yep.
Gary. Gary. Hi, Gary. That document you have up, the active and fixed known issues, is not updated yet with the deployment that went in yesterday. Normally we deploy around 7 or 8 in the morning, and then I'll update, Kyron and I will update this list the following day, so that way everybody gets a chance to get a new snapshot. Any fixes that are actually fixed will, be there. So didn't update yet because they didn't actually deploy until noon yesterday, so we got a late start there. Plus, as many of you are probably experiencing, the revisions are taking a really, really, really long time to process. So we're looking at upwards of 24 hours after your last post before we get a new snapshot. So they did schedule a new revision for everybody last night, but the last I checked, we're still in the process of working on those. So hopefully I will update that known issues later today or tomorrow morning at the latest.
All right. So we're going to start off with our questions. And today we're starting with Carol from Menlo Park, Q1. Says, can I please check on how direct cert benefits are extended? We have some families that are doubled up with another family at the same address, but have not registered with us as temporarily doubled up. This seems to be their permanent living situation. When CDE says that benefits are extended to other students in the household, do they mean all the students living in that address or all the students in the particular family, even if more than one family shares the address?
I have no idea. Is there anybody from CDE that could address that today? I think we might need a ticket on that one, Carol, and we'll escalate that up to CDE for you.
And Carol, I see your question 2 and 3. So we're going to circle back and answer those. Sandra from Western Placer Unified, question 1. We have an agriculture internship course which involves working on the school farm. It is non-paid and students are not leaving school. Would this count towards work-based learning 20 internship? Or does work-based learning internship have to be with an outside employer? I know that there's some description on our course code, our code set. I don't know if it's specific enough to tell us whether or not it has to be outside. And thank you, Gary. Gary's driving us to the work-based learning types. And code 20. Well, She says internship, and that's not internship. So maybe, Sandra, do you mean internship code 10? Maybe it was a typo. The internships, it says, can be paid or unpaid. And I'm trying to read quickly here. I don't know if it says if it has to be outside of the school or not. But take a look at this description. And if you still have questions, you can either let us know here or send in a ticket. And we can see if we can find you the right information or the right answer for that. We're going to move on to Angela. Question 1 it says, I haven't seen a revision snapshot since 2 days ago and have made changes in CalPADS since then. Is this normal? No, 2 days is far too long.
He has a ticket in already, so
Oh.
I had already been looking, Angela. So what I saw was that you had posted something on July 20th and then nothing until last night around 5 p.m. And I don't know if you were on the call early enough to hear me say that what we're experiencing is about 24 hours after your last post. So you should be getting one this afternoon or early evening is what we're seeing for the revision. So and I did check and I can see that you are in the queue. We don't have rate bill visibility to see how far along you are. I can just see that you're in there. So I think you're in the next batch of revisions coming.
Next is Ethan's Q1 says, hi all. I saw today's flash. Question 1 says, it took 23.5 hours for a CDD run to complete on end of year 2 at a small charter with less than 25 total SPRG records, but I digress. And in the middle of those 23.5 hours, the new snapshot was taken. I have no idea whether or not those CDDs reflect what's in the snapshot or not. Is something being done to make the CDD process quicker to maybe help clear that up? I know that we are monitoring the CDDs that are taking a long time and are, and I believe that the flash addressed or said this, but it's just kind of as we find the CDDs that are taking a while, that's when our developers are able to address those. I don't know, Angela, if you wanted to say anything else.
I think that's what CD was trying to say. Gary, that last couple sentences of that paragraph, it lists a couple things that they're trying to do to help expedite DDs.
We're going to move on to Eileen Chewy from Oroville City Elementary. Says, question 1, our 16.2 is showing less students on the latest snapshot than what are on the supporting document and my backup from SIS. Has anyone else experienced this? And Kimberly says, I have seen this in the LEAs myself as well. So folks on 16.2, 16.1, 16.2, 16.3, the scope is different for each of them. 16.1 has no shows included in the count. 16.2 does not. 16.3 does because it needs to support the 16.1. So when you're seeing that your 16.2 is lower, chances are most of the time it's because 16.2 is not including no shows, whereas your 16.1 and 16.3 are. I don't have a super cool, easy way for you to identify those students, but that's usually what it boils down to.
That is correct, Alex.
Oh, hey, Joe.
Hi. And in fact, on the screen, please do check and review the CalPADS documentation regarding all those reports to see the discrepancies or the differences. Mainly the 16.2 as well is counting by federal setting. So if your setting is not within those appropriate settings, then you won't see them. And as Alex pointed out, most of those no-shows probably are evaluated and not found eligible maybe, and that's probably one of the reasons why as well. So please do check the differences. We do have pendings, I think, included as well in the 16.1. So there are some specific differences amongst those reports that you could see here in the CalPADS documentation that we have on screen. Oh, there you go. Yeah, 700, 800, 900. So those determinations that are plan types 700, 800, 900 won't show up in your 16.2 report immediately because they don't have a plan and they don't have a setting.
We're going to move on to Karen now from San Mateo SELPA. Question 1 says, having just read today's flash, I'm concerned with the plan to inform superintendents when LEAs aren't LEA approved by Friday. We have 33 LEAs, half of which are already SELPA certified. The other half cannot approve because of known issues. So what are you planning to tell our SUPs?
I'd like to hear more about the known issues that are blocking you, Karen. If you could type in the problem numbers for us. Maybe we can come back to Karen.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'll circle back, Karen, and see if you posted the known issues. Moving on to Terry from Bellflower Unified, Q1. I have already certified, but have made changes in enrollment records to reduce cohort dropouts. Do I need to decertify and then recertify since I have made enrollment exit code changes? My preference is right now, because we're so close to the deadline, don't decertify. If you need to, because those students that you changed exit codes are from this school year, 22-23, and it's going to impact your one-year grads, then I would wait until the amendment window to do that decertification, recertification. I don't know if anyone else has a different opinion about that. And Laura says, to piggyback on this, I am planning to wait and uncertify after July 28th. If that's okay. Okay, yeah, that would be my suggestion. We're too close. Don't risk that. Mary, Q1. In the intro, Alex mentioned when cohort data 15.1 and 2 reports are pulled. I missed that date. Can you please repeat? My understanding is that those data continue to update after certification until the date pulls it in real time. Yeah, so the cohort data is always pulled in conjunction with the final deadline for end of year. So in this case, August 25th, and Gary's showing you up on the screen. So August 25th is when end of year, the final deadline for end of year is. That's also when the data is going to be pulled for cohort. Oscar, Q1. Hi, I'm an.
Skip that.
Okay. All right.
We don't need to talk to bots, Alex.
What is happening now? Larnie, Oxnard. Hey, Larnie. Q1 says, can you expand a little bit on the revision process modification from Flash 258?
I can take that one, Alex.
Thank you.
Like.
Yes, please.
So basically, how CalPADS has worked since last April is after you post data, CalPADS will listen for any other changes, meaning are you still working? And then it gave you 60 minutes. If after 60 minutes you had done nothing, posted no data, it said, okay, I'm going to kick off a new revision for you now. Now that we have these certification data discrepancies that are out of sync with the actual snapshot, back to Ethan's problem, right? He's like, can I trust this? I don't know what I'm looking at here because they're out of sync. So their CD is trying to rectify that and try to make them more in alignment. And so rather than listening for 60 minutes, it's going to listen for 120 minutes. So if you haven't posted anything for 2 hours, then it'll kick off a new revision for you and hopefully resolve the problem that Ethan's describing, that where they're completely out of sync. So they're trying to just keep things more in alignment while they continue to try to troubleshoot and make those CDDs run faster.
Thanks, Angela. Shelley, Q1. Problem number 6610 has status of fix available. Was this one implemented yet?
No, and it's not going to be. I was just reading the developer's notes on that, Shelley, because it's so old. The fix that they would have for it, they would have to require a new revision to run, and we can't run those on submissions that old. And so unfortunately, we're going to have to just live with that, that problem as it is.
So a follow-up is after end of year is over? It sounds like no, right? We just
no, yeah. Is it something you can grab from DataQuest, Shelley? Maybe check there and see if there's something that that system has.
Move on to Milad. Q1 says, does enrollment status 50 for private school prevent the student from appearing in Cert 145? No, Cert 145 actually is looking for private school enrollment. So the student, and I believe Cert 145 is private school enrollment, but missing ISP or missing a SPED record?
Yep, missing SPED.
So what the Cert 145 is looking at is the school of enrollment, and school of enrollment would be 000002. And for those, we have to have that enrollment status of 50, right? So it's solely for those students where it's triggering. The expectation is that you have a SPED record to correspond with that enrollment. That is not an IEP. Robin from Benicia has a comment, says, this morning I approved my last pending end of year submission. This end of year reporting cycle was fun for my district, and we hit more CALPADS and data issues than usual. Thanks to the CISA CDE folks that helped me work through them, and I hugely appreciate these Q&As for keeping me in the loop. Awesome. I'm super happy to hear that. Moving on to Charlene from Cupertino, Q1. Have we wiped out the foster youth info for 22-23 school year yet? I thought the deadline to download the info is August 1st, 2023, but I don't find them anywhere.
It has not been wiped out yet. So if you had any, it should be showing up. I think it was 5.9. One thing to check, if you exited the kids from your district, they won't come back. If they're anything other than its E155 exit, then those students are not going to be showing up on your foster reports.
Shelley, I see your question 2. We'll circle back to that. And then Sandra said, oh, she meant 10. So the internship 10 is what she meant. And down below, Evan is giving suggestions about reporting. Says internships have not yet been officially added to the college and career indicator for the dashboard. In fact, the CDE's accountability division will be reviewing this data for the first time in September, and they need data to consider whether adding is feasible. Based on conversations that we've been in with CDE, this is the type of detail that would be hammered out only after they can determine that districts have internships to report. Thank you so much, Evan. That's super helpful. And right before that, Catherine says, I am so stressing about my next revision being updated. Fingers crossed.
We're feeling that too.
Yeah, for sure. And then Sean Walker has a response to Carol's question. So thank you, Sean, for jumping in there. Karen, says my Q1 was skipped.
I think you did actually answer that one.
We sort of, we answered it with a question, right? Wasn't that the one asking about known issues? So Karen, if you're on, we're looking for specific problem numbers that are impeding your SELPAs from approving. I'd like to research those a little bit.
Sidra from Valverde, Q1. Hi, Sidra. It says, I sent an email regarding the need to have Cert 1 enrollment data missing for expected open schools cleared. Once that is processed on CDE's side, will I need to wait for a new overnight snapshot, or will I be able to certify immediately? You need that snapshot. So that revision is going to remove that fatal error from the screen. And that's the only way that you'll get around it. Cedra, because you're my district, if you haven't heard back on the ticket by tomorrow, let me know, and then we can work something out. Yolanda says 24 hours for a snapshot is delaying progress. Agreed. We talked about the 16.2 from Eileen. And Susie, Q1, says, I have a question for users. Anyone using Aries and moved to their cloud having trouble with their files? For example, missing data. Yikes. So folks, if you use Aries and you have experienced this or have any info at 309, that's Susie wanting some feedback. Sean Walker, Q1. This one is for Joe. If 16.3 shows an IEP, an annual from last year, 21-22, should I be concerned if a 40 triennial was completed in 22-23, but does not show on the report since I don't believe it's supposed to? I don't want to land on our SPED department in a review. Thanks.
Yeah, you won't land in any review for that matter. Sean, you're correct. If you look at the screen right now for 16.3, in fact, if you look at the qualifying special education record there, it is noted there that we don't include the meeting types 40. Now, the question though, when you did held the meeting type 40 or the triennial, did you held also the IEP meeting as well? So that's another question, right? It could happen in the same day. So if that's the case, then you should submit a subsequent IEP meeting, right? But I would assume that the meeting type 40 here is a solely triennial meeting that happened currently. That should show up in your 16.8 report, which is the monitoring report that you should be looking for as a monitoring tool to coincide with what the department or the SPED office would actually send out to your SELPA directors in a periodic manner, to check your lates. So if you're not late, there's no problem. And it is by design that we don't include the 40s.
Moving on to Asia, Q1. Hi, we just found out that some of the dashboard data might not be accurate. We might need to make changes. We already certified end of year 3. Would it be okay for us to lift certification and make a handful of adjustments to the cohort data? My suggestion again is wait until after the initial deadline. So Monday, as you can go ahead and
I would add to that, Alex, that as long as you're approved or certified, go ahead and make the changes, right? Because you can still work off of your revised and certified. Just don't decertify your existing one yet. Do that during the amendment window. I think Alex is advocating for using extreme caution, which I agree with. So once you're approved, just make sure you meet that deadline. And then, but in the meantime, you could be working off your revised and certified copy. Mm-hmm. Did I capture your essence of what you were trying to say, Alex?
Yeah, no, I think you expanded on it.
Okay.
Yeah. The other thing that came to mind as Angela was talking about keep working on your data is we do have a video. If you're unfamiliar with how to toggle between your revisions, between your approved and your revised and certified, we have a YouTube video, a couple that can be helpful if you're not used to toggling between revisions. So
I can post that. And one thing I'm noticing that's just a tip for folks is when you toggle between the two, Alex points this out in the video that it takes a minute for the page to refresh. But this year, it seems like it's taking like twice as long as it did last year. So the problem's gotten a little bit worse. So you'll change from SELPA approved to revised and certified and wait, gosh, I mean, a good 45 seconds. Sometimes it seems like it before it will toggle over. So just be careful. And I think Alex pointed out in the video too, the tip there is just keep your eye on the revision create date. Mm-hmm. Make sure that gets updated.
And then Karen says, looks like the questions are skipping around and you did not. Oh, okay. Yeah, this is the one about, she says she'll send up a ticket with a list of errors that are hanging up, not the SPED side, but the other side of the house. And in the meantime, she wants to know what the soups will be told. I don't know specifically what that letter is going to say.
We don't have anyone from CDE that could fill us in.
No, is Marianne here? What's the timestamp for Karen's response?
3:15.
Not finding it.
Yeah. If I told you it was right before the Oscar bot, I don't think that will help you. Right.
Oh, wait, I found it.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, she's going to send up a ticket.
Yeah.
Okay, that's handy. If you could, Karen, ask for Angela in there, and I'll grab it and take a look at it. And I don't think we know exactly what the letter is going to say because the people that could answer that are not on this call right now.
Skipping over Oscars again. And Ethan, I've written down your question too. We'll circle back. Same thing with Mary. 20. Karen says, I have sent an email to all of our CalPADS people to get the list of errors for you. Hope to get that to you by 1 tomorrow afternoon. And then got Carol's Q2. Larnie has a follow-up or question 2. Cheryl will circle back. 326. And okay, I think that's everyone's Q1. So I'm going to circle back up to the top. Well, actually, not very far. Carol's 2 was just down here somewhere. Carol Mann from Menlo Park, Q2, says, our lunch person is saying we no longer have to take applications for meal programs or deal with extending direct cert benefits because the state no longer requires this. To prevent food shaming, I think, was the reason. I've not heard anything about this and believe so many other programs are based on FRPM status that we should continue to track DC eligibility and encourage families to submit applications if they aren't on the DC list or are listed as on audit as reduced. Is that still correct? Or is the state and feds determining eligibility for these other programs using something other than FRPM status? Sean has a response, says, I believe there may be additional reasons why your food coordinator may say you don't have to collect lunch applications. You will need to know your LEA status. It's possible that you may just have to collect income verification, your CEP provision 2. I recommend reconnecting and understanding where you all are in the NSLP process. Please note you will continue to report 181, 182 program records. I hope this helps. And Carol Mann says, how do we report 181, 182 without apps? I think that there was a communication send out, like a welcome back letter, right, to superintendents, and or perhaps it was a flash or a combination of both. But it has the breakdown of, depending on what kind of school you are, what kind of application or form can be permitted. But we do still require you to send the 181, 182 program records, just as Sean was mentioning. We need to know which students are eligible, even though everyone's going to be eating for free. But in that, yeah, thank you, Gary, that one, 254. And so it gives you a breakdown of what are the different kinds of applications and the different kinds of schools. And also some really good info. So 254 is what I would recommend you check out. And then we go to Carol's question 3, which I think is still up here. Yes. Carol Q3 says, we have had students on the foster care list who remain at home with their parents and are receiving family support. We have been counting these students as foster, submitting 190 program record, providing free meals. Is that correct? Do I need to submit a 190 record? Are they eligible for free meals? Some of the CD language around foster care and FRPM eligibility seem to indicate only those children placed into a foster home are eligible for free and reduced meals. Gary's taking us to the code, said 190 was Well, do we even have a 190 program?
I don't think we have a 190. 191, is she talking about homeless or?
Oh, maybe. Submitting 191 program record providing free meals. That makes sense. Would be a 191. So if the question is, if you need to submit a 191 for free meals, yes, if the student is eligible for free meals, then we would want that 191 program record. However, for she says, no, not homeless, just foster.
There isn't a program for foster. It comes from the Department of Social Services.
There's a match that happens in the back end between CDSS and CALPADS. So you're not reporting the foster to us directly. I'm not sure we're understanding the question, maybe. So she says, no program, but if the student isn't removed from the home, do they get free meals? Oh, I think that's outside of my scope. I don't know at what point they get free meals versus not.
You need Paula.
Yeah. I think maybe Carol, a ticket, I don't know, you can put this in a ticket and then we can escalate that to CDE, who may be able to answer that. And we're going to move on. Let's see. Karen's going to send in a ticket. So now I'm looking for Shelly's question 2. At 3:07, Q2 says, I have 126 SCNR 439E4 errors that just showed up this week. Did this error just get turned on? It's definitely been on. I know that. So the SCNR 439E4 is looking at students that are in 12th grade that are at least 17 years old and that have an IEP overlapping that enrollment. And if all those 3 are yes, then it's expecting that adult age students with disabilities and transition status field in the SCNR file to be populated with either a yes or a no. Essentially just can't be blank. I don't know what would have triggered it to just pop up for you just now, other than maybe you submitted that SCNR and it maybe set it all back to blank because it overwrite the information you had before, or if you didn't have that sped record in there. Yeah. But if you think that those are valid, that those aren't valid, I'm sorry, that they're triggering incorrectly, let us know with maybe an SSID or 2 as an example, and we can take a look.
It's also part of the calculation of the age probably as well. If you submit an amendment to the sped record, then it would recalculate, oh, well, your student is aged 16 or 17 rather. So.
Oh, Colleen's mentioning, I had a similar experience a few weeks ago. It was because I had uploaded an SCNR that messed things up. Yep. I'll do it. Ethan's Q2 at 3:18. Q2 says, when the flash mentions that the DD process is triggered via file submission, does that include online maintenance updates or only extracts posting?
It includes both. One way to think about it, Ethan, is anything that inserts a row on your view submission status screen counts towards that. So as long as the status says posted, if it's rejected, that doesn't do anything at all. But if it says posted, that is what we're talking about on that flash.
Right below that, Mary Masters Q2. We are working on this for 23-24, but are having a problem getting our independent study course completions reported to CALPADS for 22-23. Is there any way to manually submit just the number of independent study students at each school without the course completions in SCSC? Yes. So the way I read that was that you want to manually enter the enrollments for those students in the independent study school, but you don't want to submit their student course section completion. So that is possible. CALPADS is going to allow the enrollment, and I believe it's going to trigger a warning saying, hey, you didn't give us a course completion for a primarily enrolled student. Keep in mind, though, that if these students are high school, right, the whole point of end of year one is it's included in your CCI. It's going to be pooled for your cohort and dashboard information. And so it's to the benefit of the student that you submit their student course section completion. And you can also do the student course section completion manually if you needed to. And then we have Larney's Q2 at 326. It's a follow-up to Q1, says, when a new revision is created, does the activity revision create date and time on the snapshot history get updated also? I rely on the snapshot history to know whether my upload submission has been picked up or not. Sorry, continuation. I am referring to the revision that is created after the 120 minutes inactivity.
I'm not sure I followed all of that, but basically it's the revision complete date is on the snapshot history. So, and then the activity date column is sometimes things that you did to it. So if you approved or disapproved, that's a different timestamp than when it was created.
And Sean's talking to Marshall. And Angela posted the video of toggling between snapshot revisions. So 3:30 p.m. Timestamp. That's where you can find the link. And Doug from Hanford Joint Union says, if reporting a 191, you should also report a 181. And Sean saying 190 was retired years ago. Yeah. Larney, Q3. I know we are focusing on end of year submissions, but our 23-24 academic year will be starting soon. Do we know when will the sped redesign be implemented? Just wondering, when do we start seeing the module breakdown of sped, plan, me, etc. in CALPADS production? That's going to be part of the year rollover, which is happening mid-September. No exact date, I don't think, or that I know of at least, in mid-September. Rochelle, Clovis Unified, Q1. Non-end of year related question. The new pathway diploma for students with disabilities, is there anywhere that you can point me in the direction of to get more information so I may share with our team? The link from previous meetings is stating content under review. Joe, do you have any?
Yeah, it's a broken link right now, so we'll follow it up to see what's going on with that link. That was previously, we had some guidance in regards to the alternate pathways. I guess it's broken, so we'll follow with our team.
Okay. Doug's question 2 says, is there a document that I can share with my CELPA that indicates that we need to be CELPA certified by Friday, July 28th? Our CELPA indicates that LEAs must be done by Friday. CALPADS encourages CELPAs to be done by Friday, but we officially have until the 25th of August. Oh, and then it says, thank you to whoever's driving today. I see the July 26th letter. That's scary. question 2 from Asia says, we have a student who is 11th grader. He exited with E155 and will be back this year. He has no gaps in enrollment. He is showing as a dropout on the cohort report. This is incorrect. How to fix? And then Ethan responds saying, this is likely driven by the student's initial 9th grade entry year being 1920, expected back for another year. E155 will show up on cohort reports as dropouts until they have a subsequent year enrollment, at which point they would become still enrolled. But either way, they are not 4-year cohort grads. A+. I get that. And then right below that, Kyron is providing a link to the cohort training. But yes, all that is correct. Colleen, Q1, says, I would love if we could rename revised uncertified green and in review uncertified yellow. I get why they are worded the way they are, but it makes my brain hurt. Yeah. Well, once we get it all working fine, then we can rebrand. And then Alex Manriquez, AI assistant. I'm going to take you up on that, Alex. So careful. And then Asia's saying, Kyron, the link doesn't work. Kyron's sending an email. Lori, Q1, when will the CALPADS calendar for 23-24 be posted? CDE manages that one, right?
Yeah, they haven't landed on exact dates yet, but I know they are deep in discussions about it, so I would expect that soon.
All right, folks, I think that's it, unless I skipped anybody.
I don't see any questions anymore. What do you guys say?
I say we have 1 million tickets to answer, so I could use those extra 15 minutes. Let's do it.
Let's
Yeah,
go.
sounds good. Okay, guys, I got it from here.
All right,
You
thanks,
guys go ahead and
everyone.
take off. All
Have
right.
a great day. Happy deadline week.